3, 2, 1. Hey everyone, Craig Severinson here, coming to you live from Lima, or actually it's Lima, Ohio. You know, I want to say Lima like Lima, Peru, but it's Lima in Ohio. And the reason I'm here is because I went to Social Media Week in Ohio, and I was afraid, you know, we had this commitment for this video, and I was afraid that I was going to have to, like, find a dark corner somewhere and, like, do this. But I am very grateful they actually, since it's a social media conference, set up a live streaming room, and I will turn the camera here. Look at this. I'm in, like, a nice big room. There's a chandelier. I've got a nice seat. This seat is actually more comfortable than the seats they got in the conference. So I'm sitting pretty here, and I'm really excited to be here with you because today we're going to talk about a subject that's really, I think, cutting edge in terms of marketing, especially for small, you know, the solo pros and the boutique-sized agencies. We're talking, you know, you're either by yourself or you've got a small team up to like 10, which most of you fall into that category. We're going to be talking with Art Snarzyk, who here in St. Louis is known as the Turnover Terminator. And the reason he's called the Turnover Terminator is because he helps you hire the right person the first time using really the most cutting-edge analysis tools, including personality tests and that sort of thing. Now, Art and I met about 2 years ago. I can't believe it's been that long. It's been about a year and a half, 2 years ago. And when I found out what he did, I think my comment was something along the lines of, wow, you're marketing for employees. I wonder if we could market for clients. And Art was willing to explore that with me. And we started doing something that we called Clientology with my clients. And the idea is that you do a personality test on the CEO or the owner of the company. You find out what sort of people bring out the best in them, bring out their best work, and then you market for those people. It started out as a test, turned out that it worked fantastically, better than I ever would have imagined. And that is something that typically is only offered in my one-on-one programs or my group programs. So if you wanted to be involved in that, you'd have to join my group program starting in August. But it's such cool stuff that Art and I talked. I said, Art, will you come and just give us, you know, what are the 3 steps or 3 things we can do to start marketing based on our personality to attract clients that we love? And Art was gracious enough to come do it. So welcome, Art. We're really excited to have you here.
Oh, thanks for nice introduction, Craig. And I've loved working with you. I can't believe it's been 2 years. You're doing great stuff. Right? I love it. It's nuts.
You know, I think about the time we met, somebody else had said, hey, you got to meet Art Snarzyk. And I was like, okay, yeah, sure, whatever. And I went to a conference in St. Charles here in St. Louis, and I'm walking around, and there's some guy with the name tag Art with a S name that was weird. And I was like, what the odds that this is the same guy? And we just bumped into each other and started chatting, and it was a great partnership from then on. So meant to be. Well, cool, Art. Did I miss anything in the introduction or any thoughts that you have before you dive into the meat of the and everyone, you know, I'm keeping an eye on the Facebook page. So please comment and let us know if you have any questions, and I'll make sure Art sees them.
Yeah, that'd be great. Thanks, Craig. Just interrupt any old time, and if you have questions, ask them. I don't think you miss much, except my passion. And my passion in life, I really want people to find out who they are at an earlier age than I found out who I was. And I want you to be okay with that version, whatever version that is, and leverage your assets and minimize your liabilities and just be okay with that. And then I want people to find work they love and that's easy, that's natural to them. And those are my passions. So I've studied the behaviors of people and become certified in a bunch of nerdy sciences. But these nerdy sciences, as Craig can teach you, really get into the heart of how people buy from you, why they buy from you, how employees can be managed and better appreciated in their way, and honoring the other person, understanding who your ideal clients are. I'm just happy to be part of your program, Craig. I think what you've done with this and done with the science has taken this to new levels that other people are not doing.
Get out of here. Thanks. I appreciate it. Art. That's very kind. I said that like, oh, get out of here. But and I'm not trying to toot my own horn, but this really is cutting edge approach to marketing that I don't think you can find anywhere else. And I don't know. I'm sure that it does scale as a business grows to like be huge, but I haven't explored that yet. But this is something for somebody who runs a boutique-size agency or who runs, they're a solo pro, the quality and caliber of your clients is so important. And this science that you bring, that we're going to talk about today, is going to help you attract people you love, right? And if the goal of the name of the group is the sweet spot, right, where freedom, impact, and money meet, if the goal is to love your life and to love your business, this is one of the number one things I would suggest doing, is really being conscious, not just about like who demographically your clients are, but who personality-wise you want to attract. So Art, take us into it. And I'm going to be, just so everyone knows, this is a live streaming room, so there's other people talking. So I'm going to be muting myself and unmuting myself. Just if you hear me doing that, that's what's going on. So Art, please take it away.
I will, but before I do, Craig, I always like to start a meeting with a pal. I always bring a pal with me to a meeting, and that's an old management term, but I like a purpose, an agenda, and a length. And so the purpose is that you get some insights into some marketing tools that I think can help your business. And we're going to skim the surface. The agenda is to skim the surface, give you some quick impact things, and then if you want to go deeper, you know how to get a hold of Craig, and we'll post a way to get a hold of that. I'll also share these slides with you. I don't care. So email Craig, and I don't mind sharing some of these slides so that, and Craig, I can go on about this stuff. It's fascinating stuff. I can answer questions for 4 hours, but you tell me how long the length of this agenda?
I'm thinking, I don't know. I would love to go as long as it takes, right? As long as we're delivering really good content, that's what matters. But, half hour to an hour, somewhere around there, we'll probably be good.
Perfect. Good, because that's all I brought. So let me see if I can try to share my screen. And feel free to ask questions as we go. Don't hold them, I guess, in the hopes that we'll get to that. I'd rather you participating and jump in there. Craig, tell me when my screen is showing. It should have a silly picture of me. Excellent.
Yep, you're good to go.
Good. All right. So I'm just going to kind of jump into it. How would you guys like prospects that come to you and referral partners who deliver clients to you regularly? It's good stuff. And clients who bring more clients. I got to tell you, I'm an introvert, so all this networking and marketing thing, this isn't my natural style, but I wanted all this stuff. I wanted those people to come in. I don't like dialing out. And I'm not afraid of it. I'll do it. Business is much more fun when it's happening like this, so I hope that you want that. And when I give, sometimes I give this presentation in other places, and when I do, I usually give credit where the credit is due. And one of the credits or resources, of course, that I always mention is Craig, because he really takes the marketing piece of this behavioral science and says, how do we make this work in your business to get more clients? So without a whole lot of unnecessary intro, marketing is just relationship building at the core. Do you like me? Do I like you? Are we going to want the same results? Are we going to get along well? And you already know, if you're in business, that certain clients, you love them, certain ones drive you crazy. I hope by the end of this you know which ones are which, and you can identify them quickly so you can divorce those ones that don't pay or just don't fit your values, because it's more fun when you build a relationship with others who are like-minded. It's not to say that we can't work with everybody. We can, but as you become more financially independent and you start reaching those levels in life where you're attaining what it is you want to attain in life and becoming who you want to become, you're going to want to work with people who are more like-minded. So in order to build those relationships, you got to do it with the right people for you, right? And that's different. Even though we're all in marketing here, each of you are going to be very different people with different preferences and different values, and your clients are going to choose who they're going to work with based on those behavioral traits and values. And we got to talk to these folks in their language. So that's what I'm hoping that you guys walk away with today, is that we give them the right message fast, you're talking with the right people, and you have some better idea of the messaging you should use in order to attract those people. But first, before we get started, I always like to ask this question, and I know there's a little delay, so you don't have to type in the answer, but if you could just look at the back of my screen and ask yourself, what color is that screen? And then maybe look at my shirt and ask, what color is my shirt here? You might have said white, and you might have said black. But how about this? What color is a yield sign? Type that in. I'll give you 1 second to do that. I saw a couple answers come in. I see, oh, nice, nice. Yellow, yellow, right, right. So this is what you saw. Your brain knew that automatically. Wait, but I'm seeing something else. I saw red come in. Did you guys get that? Is that a yield sign? Or is that the yield sign? Everyone thinks yellow. And some of my nerdy colleagues, we don't know why our brain does this, but it jumps to conclusions. And maybe it's because it's a cautionary tale, but when we think yield, our brain goes to this yellow sign. But when I showed you this one, all of you that were typing in yellow, you were like, what happened here? I think I've seen that one more often. And there's a couple stubborn people out there who say, no, I know it's yellow. But I got to tell you, Craig and all, that this sign was done away with by the Department of Transportation back in the 70s. So it probably wasn't even in your book when you studied for your driver's exam. But our brains
so
leap to it. You like it?
Yeah, I think it's hilarious because you asked the question. I said, it's yellow, 100% yellow. And then you showed the other sign and I went, oh, no, it's red and white.
Red and white.
Yeah.
Listen, I've done that to people. Sorry, I did that to you. Two things just happened. You're going to go out and look for yellow ones now, and I do invite you to text this to me. And I've given this presentation to thousands of people. But if you find one of these signs on a backcountry road that's yellow, text it to me. I still haven't gotten a picture. I had to dig this out of the archives of the interwebs. So the purpose of this is just to know that your brain draws conclusions quickly, and I want you just to open it up just a little bit. Not so that your brains fall out, because I'm highly theoretical. I love learning things. But don't let it jump to conclusions with your clients too quickly, okay? I'm going to teach you a few things about them. And what we're going to talk about is the how of communication. If you guys have ever taken assessments online, Myers-Briggs, Colby, I study the DISC model. But it's just some ideas of how do we understand how other people work? How do they like to be communicated with? So we're going to talk a little bit about DISC because how to communicate with people is important, but hang on because the really good stuff comes right after that. There's more to people than just the how they behave. The marketing message that you're going to come up with Craig or on your own is going to come through what motivates people, and how you talk to them should be in this way with the kinds of people that you're going to be working with. Craig often says when he's coaching folks that you can find clients that have an ideal or ideas and values that you care about that are in line with yours, but you're going to have all sorts of different behavioral styles, this how of communication. And all we're trying to do is get people to take their fingers out of their ear long enough to see, do you have the product, the service, the solution that I need? And we're just trying to get through the gates of communication, and we got to speak to them in their language. So I'm going to jump through that. I'm going to move fast. Type in your questions fast. And know that if you contact Craig at the end, I'll get you some slides. DISC is the model we're going to talk about. It's just 4 quadrants. And it's important to know that this DISC graph that you see on the screen right now, that's my DISC graph. If you don't know what that means, you're going to know in a few minutes. And any of you that are worried about that yellow bar, because you know what this means, and that you're like, oh, this is not going to be a good presentation, just know I had a Red Bull. This is going to be fun, okay? I'm going to keep it lively. There's a caveat here. Nobody likes to be painted into a corner or labeled or put into the box. Maybe that kid does. We all come with all 4 styles. You see that blue C is high, and that yellow I is low, and the green is moderate, and that D is somewhere in the middle. There's more than just a letter that goes behind this. But in order to get you the fundamentals, well, I think we got to start by putting people in boxes. That's where I usually start. Craig, any questions at this point?
Well, I don't see any questions coming in. I will say, I think we fight against boxes a lot, but that's just kind of the way we think as humans. We have to categorize things in order to make sense of the world. So I always say, instead of pushing against the boxes, own it. Own your box. Completely own it until it looks exactly the way you want it to, and then you can own a different box, and then you can own a different box after that. You know what I mean? So like, don't. And I think we put ourselves, by saying we're in a box, we put ourselves in a box. So use this to, explain the world, or to give as a tool to find things that you want. Don't use it as a limiting tool, and I think that you'll be good to go.
There are many, Craig, great point. Many of my competitors will even just don't go deep enough, and they'll say disc. So Art has that really strong blue C thing over there, so he's a C person. But I'm not. I'm a C with some S and no I and a D, and that's different than a C with no S and a lot of I. So this is just a model to understand what your gut's been telling you about people since you were young. And it's just a model of understanding. And I think we need to categorize things. Our brains want to say this is safe, that's not safe, this is delicious, that's not delicious. So we want to understand it. I just want you to use this as kind of eyeglasses or a lens to see and check yourself. Is the yield sign yellow or is it red? So into the boxes. Let's talk about that D. I'm going to tell you, remember, this is the how of communication. The D stands for being dominant or direct. I'm going to give you a P and a C word to kind of hammer this home for just to understand it. But it's the how of communication. It's how we like to deal with problems and challenges. So that's your P and C word for the D. But high Ds, they're results-oriented, decisive, impatient. Lower Ds, indirect, passive, non-confrontational. There is no good, there's no bad, right? It's wherever you are. It's embracing that and finding ways to work in your life so that you can maximize that and get the results you want with your style without pushing so hard into these zones of super hard, long-term uncomfort areas. It's important to be uncomfortable as you're growing your business certain times, but if you've chosen a career that's going to make you uncomfortable for long stretches, you're going to be stressed out. So it's about leveraging who you are. And there's going to be a high and a low. There's no judgment here. Don't judge yourself, please. Here's what I want to leave you guys as marketers and salespeople, is the fear of a high D of these direct, dominant people is they don't like losing control or being taken advantage of. Now, nobody likes it, but high Ds, they're on the lookout for it. It goes through their ear filter. Are you trying to get one on me? And they're going to protect themselves. But that's the fear driving this. So what they want is answers, fast, quick, and they want to drive. Here's some high Ds you might see in the news, right? They're going to tell you what's on their mind. There are lots of financial advice. Yeah, go ahead, Craig.
Sorry, jumping in.
No, I love it.
I think you said their fears are losing control, being taken advantage of, and I think I just want to crystallize that a little bit. Very applicable. If you're in a, look at these pictures. If you end up talking to a client who is one of these types of people where they're going to tell you exactly what's on their mind and that they're being very direct with you, don't give them options. Like talk about results and then say, this is how you get those results. Which one do you want to do, right? Because if you try and force them into a corner, with other personality types, forcing into the corner might not be the best idea or best word, but if you say, hey, this is the solution, this is the way, they're going to be like, well, who are you? Well, you're going to take advantage of me, right? So with these types of people, really options, right? Here's option 1, here's option 2. Which one do you want to take? Let them make that decision, and you're going to sell to them a lot easier.
It's true. And in the reports of the high Ds, that when I do these profiles with people and you get a personal profile, you'll answer some questions online, you'll get this 30 to 70 page report depending on how much you want. But it'll say, give me options, not opinions. The D doesn't care about your opinions. They need options so they can make decisions. But if I tell Gordon Ramsay, the chef here, what he's going to serve in his restaurant, that's going to be a problem. right? I used Donald Trump as an example in my D's for a couple of years, but when he became president, it became too politicized. So if we can just get to his style, he is a high D. You know what's on his mind. He's going to tweet it. And if I were going to sell him a jet, even if he told me I need a jet by March, under 15 million, 20 seats, gold plate, says Trump on the side, I would not come and tell him, Mr. Trump, you're going to get this, and you're going to get that, and you're going to get that. I'm going to say, Mr. Trump, you said you wanted a jet this big with this many seats, the gold plating. I think I can do it by the March. Would you like for me to? And that's how you deal with those high Ds. And he, being a high D, he might say, yeah, but I want to change the wheels just a little. So questions about our high D friends, type them in if you've got them. Craig, if they're good, read them. If not, I'm just going to keep on going.
They're all good. They're all going to be good.
Of course they will.
I don't see any coming in, so let's keep going.
Awesome. So high I's. These are our influential and fun-loving people. If everybody waves and smiles, that's these folks, right? It's how we deal with our people and our contacts in our lives. High I's are usually enthusiastic, optimistic, talkative. Low I's, you saw mine, I score a 6. I'm usually hesitant, skeptical, and calculating. It's usually surprising to people. They say, oh, you seem more engaging than that. I've learned to put some skills around this, and this is a good time to say that this DISC model and the other model that we'll talk about in these motivators in just a few minutes, it's not all we can measure about people. There's more to you than this model. So I am a low I. I don't have a preference for going out to the wine and cheese event, but when I get there, I have some skills. I'm going to network well and probably pick up a couple friends. So the fears of the high I, these fun-loving people who are always on, they don't like to be rejected. They don't like being embarrassed publicly. They want to get along with folks, and that's why they're so engaging. Matter of fact, sometimes being a low I, if they're too over the top for me, and if I project that and they see that they're over the top and they get that feeling that I don't like them, they sometimes turn it up and they just want to engage even more. I'm going to make you like me. So, but if you want to sell to them, you just want to be fast-paced. You want to be exciting. You want to leave out details. You want to tell them this is all going to work out, and they don't have to worry about anything.
And I think words like, and correct me, Art, if I'm wrong, but words like would love to work with you. We really want to be a part of your, you and your journey and all that stuff. That's that sense of community, or that sense of we want to work with you, is the type of feeling that you want this type of personality to feel.
Very good, very good. And I love those you
I am
words.
one, so.
Yeah, you were selling to yourself there, weren't you?
Yeah.
It's going to be exciting, and I'm not going to make you read all the spreadsheets and the details, right? So here's some high I's in the news. Oprah says everybody wins a new car, right? And yeah, Jimmy Fallon's always having fun. So these are people that are fun-loving, keep it light, and that's how we're going to communicate with them. The S's, they're steady and stable people. It's really how we deal with pace and consistency in our life. On the high end, these high S's are very predictable and methodical, reliable. I think all styles can be reliable, right? And build some skills around it, but it's those S's that we see. I know what I'm going to get out of Mary every day. She's a steady, she doesn't like variety. A low S is going to like it random. They don't care how we did it yesterday. Today we do it this way. Good time to tell you that if you have a significant difference, if you score high on something and someone scores low, there's more opportunity to have that headbutt. Doesn't have to be. If you're aware, you can bridge the gap. But just know that if you're dealing with a predictable, reliable kind of person who needs a nice methodology or a system, and you say, listen, we're going to try everything and nothing, and if it doesn't work, we're going to change it, you're going to freak them out. Because their fears are losing security, letting others down, being a burden. They want to be known as somebody who comes through, who's there for you. Slower, steadier. So don't make them feel like they're a burden to you. I'll often tell them when I'm coaching them, you're going to wait too long to send me that email because you don't want to bother me with that little question, but People problems are more like milk than they are like wine. They don't age well, so email me early. Here's some S's. And sometimes people will question it, both Jim and Pam from the office there, and I'll often say I think Pam, Jim has a little bit of that eye. He's a little more fun, mischievous. But I love Mr. Rogers, and if you're too young to know Mr. Rogers, I'm sorry. But if
there's
you
a
remember,
movie coming out soon, and you'll catch up with it.
oh, is that right? That's amazing.
Yeah, there is.
That makes me happy. His show was the same show every day. He changed his shoes, he fed the fish, he changed his sweater, he took me into the neighborhood. That's S stuff. He was easygoing, slower paced, right?
So when selling to these people, I think the feeling you want to get across is consistency, right? Like, this is going to be a methodical approach. This is going to be something that we do long term. And I have this thought while you're talking too. The DISC profile, I think, really comes into play very strongly when we are selling. This is one-on-one consultations, how you're interacting with them in real time. And the motivators that we get to are going to be more important for your marketing, right? So, like, really think about, as we go through these, you're talking to someone in a one-on-one situation, you start to recognize what their dominant trait is. That's just going to give you cues to things that they find important and things that they naturally are kind of like hesitant towards. And that's just going to help you build a better rapport, build better trust, and ultimately make a sale a lot quicker, right? And this isn't like hacks to take advantage of people. This is hacks to speak the same language as people.
Yeah. Craig, that's why I really like working with you is you take this and then you throw it and you put that awesome spin on it. And he's right. You want to let them know that we're going to stand behind this, that there are guarantees. I'm not going to rush you into anything. I'm here to support you. What else do you need in order to feel confident that I'm going to stand behind this and do this with you? So our C's, these are my people. We're cautious and we're correct. It's how we deal with precision and compliance and accuracy and calculations. We're analytical and accurate, critical. Some of us are going to be worrisome and anxious, and I suffer from all those things. Low C's, they're going to be creative. They don't have these black and white rules that I have in my head. They're going to be arbitrary or just accepting of other ideas. I have to go check the spreadsheets or the third page on the insurance documents. Now I've got something fun to do this weekend. Does that freak out all the high eyes on here or what? But that's my kind of thing. I like this data and detail stuff.
You just said something that just said something that was interesting. You just said that they might have anxiety. And I just find no definitive answer to this, but is anxiety more related to one personality more than another, or is that something that affects everybody? It's just maybe a little bit more tendency here.
It's a good question, and we're not measuring anything clinical. So, I'm not talking about panic attacks and things like that, but we're going to be more anxious about doing the right thing because those fears of criticism or making a mistake, so we put a lot on that. Whereas a high D, they're going to dig their own grave, and if they dig it in the wrong place, then they're just going to use that dirt from grave one to fill in the other hole and dig another one, right? So they'll get it done just as fast as the high C. It's just more action-oriented. I'm going to worry about it and say, does the plot go there, and how big does it have to be? So, May I also add this, Craig? On that is with procrastination. I see that all 4 DISC styles procrastinate. We do it for different reasons. The C's are going to do it because with more time, I can do it more accurately. Or I know that that's going to take me 3 hours, so I don't get started. Whereas a high I is going to say, listen, I know I got to do that thing, but I think I can squeeze this in, and plus I got that phone call and that was more fun anyway. So, and a high D, they're going to procrastinate because they put too much on their plate all the time. They're handling this now and that now, and they're firefighting everything, so they just don't make the time to do it. So,
yeah, and I think, something that we've said a lot before is DISC profile is how you like to approach something. The motivators are why you might do it, but neither one predicts what you're going to do. So I think that's a really good, even with things like anxiety or procrastination or whatever, like those are things everyone has to deal with despite your personality type. Is that kind of what I'm hearing?
Yeah. It'd be nice to know your style so that you can leverage and understand how to deal with anxiety in a style that's most comfortable for you. Does that make sense? Good.
It got
So,
loud. Sorry, I was muted. Yes, makes sense.
all right. Of course, I'm going to flatter myself and put Einstein, but he was very accurate and detail-oriented. We got Questlove, the drummer. He's just keeping time back there. Tiger Woods. Some people say Tiger, he's a high D. He'll drive for the green from 300 yards out, but I disagree. Studying Tiger, he drives from the green from 300 yards out because he's practiced that swing 3,000 times before, and he knows he can do it. So, identifying others. I'm not going to get really deep in here. I just want to kind of give you a teaser on these slides, because if you request them from Craig, then you're going to get the slides, and you'll get these too. But if you want to learn how to identify others, you're just going to ask yourself 2 questions. Am I talking to an introvert or an extrovert? And are they people-oriented or task-oriented? And then we can kind of funnel down and see what is their primary style. Which box should we put them into if we're going to put them into a box? So the extroverts are the D's and the I's, the introverts are the S and the C. And then are they people-oriented or task-oriented? You can see how that lines up. And there's another graph in here I'm going to include if you want it, but this is just another way of looking at the same information if you like it more visual. But task orientation, D's and C's, task-oriented. The I's and S's, people-oriented, right? One's more introverted, one's more extroverted. You'll also
And again,
Go ahead.
sorry. Again, I think this is going to be really useful in your sales, right? Interacting with people. And it just occurred to me, like, this is also great for client delivery, retention, right? Like, if you can develop a really good relationship with someone because you speak the same language, you're going to retain them as a client, and also you're going to enjoy it more, right? Like, if you know how they interact and you appreciate the way they interact, you're gonna enjoy working with them more. You're going to retain them better.
Yeah. I'm going to put this slide here, but I'm going to talk about something separate. But you'll see the natural compatibility. Remember, I said all styles can work with all styles. We're just going to have a natural ease with certain styles, and this is kind of what it looks like. The more of the overlap, the more easy it is to get along. Don't let those 2 I's in the middle. 2 I's get together. Don't let them go to lunch. They're not coming back, right? The I and the C, I'm a C down there. I need people like Craig with his high I to drag me out and have some fun. And I'm going to say, hey, Craig, how much fun are we going to have? When is the fun going to be over? How will I know that I had the fun? And he's already like, oh, geez, I'm going to invite another I. So, but to your point, Craig, you guys have heard of the golden rule. It's treat other people the way you want to be treated. And of course that's important. I wanted to put a dichotomy in there. There's a colleague of mine who wrote a book called The Platinum Rule. And instead of treating Craig the way I like to be treated by giving him the spreadsheets and the details and all this stuff, if I can make this more lively, have an extra Red Bull, I could pass out after. But during this conversation, he doesn't want the spreadsheets. He wants us to be fun and exciting. So the Platinum Rule is don't treat other people the way you would be treated. Why don't you treat them the way they want to be treated? And I like that. Honor who they are. But here we go, because there's more to people than just how we behave. And it comes down to our motivators. Why do we act this way? What are we trying to accomplish with this behavioral style? These are separate sciences. So, meaning I can be motivated by these things and have any of those 4 disc styles that we just talked about. But the how of communication really comes down to, do you love what I love? Do you value what I value? Do you care about what I care about? Are you trying to build what I'm trying to build? If they want results in their bottom line, and that's what you market, well, then you'll be a good match. If they want to dominate the marketplace so everybody knows their name and your focus is on the bottom line, you're going to miss the sale, right? So let's discover if people love what you love. But first, we got to take an oath. So I'm going to trust you here that you're taking this oath with me, and it is, I swear, to use my powers for good and not for evil. Okay? Thank you, Craig.
You're welcome, and I think that's good to know, because I think where you get in trouble is when you take these tools and you try to manipulate people. That's an issue. Using these tools to understand people and to attract people that resonate with you, that's good marketing.
Yeah.
It's something you're going to fail. You're going to fall on your face if you try to manipulate people. It's not going to be a fun experience. You're going to fly. You're going to really have a lot of fun, and you're going to have really good clients if you use it to serve and resonate with other people.
That's amazing. And, if you were to ask that other question you asked a few minutes ago, is there a certain disc style or motivator style that's more apt to manipulate others? I don't think so. I think that's in a different style or a different science of people. Are you emotionally aware? It also has to deal with your security in life. If you're feeling scarce right now, then you might be more apt to manipulate. If you're feeling abundant, then you're just going to use this to honor others and reach them where they're at. So here's my graph. You'll know what it means in a few minutes. But before I tell you all this cool stuff, I want to tell you that the top two things move you into action. That red and that gold bar move me into action. The blue line that you see running across there, that's the national mean. So that means for that red and that gold bar, you can see I score higher than most other Americans. Most other Americans don't care about this red and the gold as much as I do. So if I go out in the world talking about it as much as I want, I'm going to miss a lot of the people. And it looks like more Americans like that purple and that green more than I do. So if I'm not talking about that, I'm going to miss that kind of people. And I think in marketing, we get to decide now through this lens which we want to do. Do we want to exclude people and only attract the ones we want? Or do we want to try to understand others and try to reach them where they're at? You get to choose that.
And I think, let me add in two thoughts there while you're going.
Yeah.
The first is, sometimes people hire you because you're high in one area and they're low. So there's a deficit there that they need help with. So that's one reason someone might hire you, building on what Art just said of, do you want to include people or you want to exclude them? I typically suggest that you use this to attract people just like you because you fall into a natural rhythm with them. However, that doesn't mean you can't work with people who aren't like you. It's just you have to understand they have different values. And so when you are doing, when you're reporting results or when you're talking about the process, you got to put it in terms that both of you understand and be very clear what those key indicators are so that you both feel like there's value in the relationship. Versus when you attract people who have something in common with you, that's natural. It falls right into place. You don't have to think about it, right? So that's the first thing is, sometimes it doesn't have to match. The second thing is likely you have not taken this assessment. And as Art goes through them, you're going to naturally feel drawn to one or the other. I think, gut feeling, you're going to be able to tell, hey, that's kind of me, that's kind of not me. If you want to actually do this, reach out to me. Maybe we can work something out, me and Art, with you. Again, typically it's something only in my program, but maybe we'll do something one-off. But, kind of get a gut feel for this, and then we'll show you how you can use it. So as he goes into this, just kind of pay attention. Oh, that really resonates with me, or, oh, that doesn't resonate with me. And then going off your gut feel, I'll show you how you can use it.
Love it, Craig. This is why I like working with you. You're an amazing color commentator. You just bring more out of me, and you bring the usefulness, and that's what that gold bar is. I love it. So there are certain things you're going to be very passionate about. You're going to, like Craig said, you're going to see your family in this, your coworkers. You're going to see a client and be like, that's why that one drives me nuts, right? So there's the middle two, my black and my gray bars there. I'm going to be situationally motivated. If you want to wake me up early on a Saturday morning, you better be talking about red and gold, though. And then the bottom two that you score in, you're kind of indifferent to. So if you tried to move me into action by talking about that purple or that green, I'm probably not going to move unless there's a lot of red and gold you're also talking about. I'm not going to care as much about the purple. So let's get in and I'll tell you what they mean to you and to your clients. But the theoretical driver, remember, these are passions and what we love. We love discovering the truth and knowledge and understanding. Notice I was high theoretical and I need charts and graphs to understand people, right? I want to understand them. I'm driven to understand them. Words that work for high theoreticals: discover, learn, identify who your ideal clients are, right? Discover more thoughtful marketing approaches. Words that don't work: we're going to take a guess. We're going to assume what your needs are and try to go from there. High theoreticals are not going to like that. Again, in these graphs, there is no good and bad. On the high end, these are people that are driven by understanding and knowledge. And on the low end, these are going to be people that move with their instinct more. I don't need to know all the why behind it. Just do that thing you said you were going to do. But depending on how you fall, you might.
Sorry, as Art goes through these, like, pay attention to those words that work, because if you are high theoretical, like, you want to know things just because you want to know things, you want truth, you want knowledge, like, that's a passion of yours, and so you feel like you're high theoretical and you want to attract those types of people, that words that work right there, you see that little column? That's marketing gold for you, right? Like, if you put into your marketing, discover the very best strategies for getting what you want. Learn the best strategies for XYZ. That type of language is going to naturally attract those people who want that thing. So pay attention as we go through these, so that you can pull out those nuggets and say, hey, if I use those words, I might attract more people just like me, and I'm going to enjoy working with those people a little bit more than the average bear.
Yeah, because I'm a high theoretical, and if you ask me questions, I'm going to light up. I'm going to think you're cool. I'm going to be excited about teaching and learning and asking you, what do you know about it? And if you want to engage me, then you're probably going to say, hey, Craig, can you hook something up with Art? I'd love to learn more about myself and discover how to leverage that, right? So that's how you would get me to move. So the gold bar is the utilitarian. Most of you as business owners are going to have this. I see this as a common trait in sales and entrepreneurs, high-level investors and management, but they want good value. It's about utility, efficiency, practicality. They want to use their resources wisely. So where does it work? Benefits, profitable, maximize, ROI. Where does it don't work? Donate. The process is endless. We're going to go on for a long, long time together. Waste. Ooh, that's really, I don't like hearing that. I don't like hearing myself say waste. But on the high end, if you're driven by this, you're going to be very resourceful, and you're going to say, this is my time and my money, and I'm calculating those things all day long. And then on the low end, you're going to be more selfless. You're going to say, hey, I'll spend a little extra time with this person, even though I'm not getting an ROI. I don't even calculate the ROI. So, other questions? Anything, Craig? Good.
I think I just, while we're talking about utilitarian, I think that's a good place to illustrate this is why you do things, not what you do. Because when Art first did this on me, I was the next one was aesthetic. I was lower in the aesthetic, and I was like, that's really weird because I really like woodworking and creating, art. And Art asked me, well, what is it that you like to build? And I was like, oh, I have this great like barnwood table and this great end table, and the things I was describing were very utilitarian. And so it's like, and why was I doing that? I was doing it to express myself. I was getting something very practical out of it in terms of stress relief too. So it's like, just because you're high utilitarian doesn't mean that like your whole world revolves around money. You know what I mean? It just means that there's a very good utilitarian perspective for why you're doing what you do. And so, just keep that in mind, right? Like, especially when we get to like some of the other ones that have to deal with social justice, like, just because you score low there doesn't mean that you're some Ebenezer Scrooge who doesn't care about anybody, right? Like, it just means that your motivations for doing what you do are different.
That's it. And really, that great point is that all we're trying to do is translate our motivations to your motivations. If you want those things and I want these things, is there a way that we can both get those things and we're going to be happy working together? And if you don't want to or can't bridge the gap, then don't work with those people. Refer them to somebody else.
And that's what we're talking about. Your ideal clients, right? Like if you don't mesh with the personality, now you've got a way to kind of quantify that and say, oh, you know what, I know it's not going to be a good fit, so this is a good reason for me not to work with that person.
Yeah. And that's not a bad thing, especially if you give them somebody who they will like working with. One more caveat on the utilitarian. When you're trying to figure out, do I like this client, that client, and you're trying to identify other people, just know that we have to talk about money. We're in sales, we're in marketing. We have to talk about money and how much is the project going to cost. But just because somebody asked that question, that doesn't mean they're a high utilitarian. It's just part of what you have to talk about. Make sense? So the aesthetic is about beauty and form and harmony in life. If you're driven by that purple thing, you like experiences and impressions. You like self-enrichment. You want harmony and zen all around you. Words that work. It's a great atmosphere. We'd love to express your message to others. We want it to feel good. There's a very subjective kind of motivator here. It's just about everything being nice. If you're a marketer who is focused on the graphic design and you can look at something and you know that it feels wrong because of that font, then you're probably a high aesthetic. The words that don't work is objective, dull, right? Functional. Right? The aesthetics want it, they might want it to be functional, but they want it to be functional and beautiful. On the high end, they want harmony, and on the low end, they're just going to be very compartmentalized. You know, it doesn't have to feel good.
So again, if you're trying to attract these people in your marketing, you're going to want to say things like, hey, you know, what do we do for you? We help you look and feel great, or, you know, we help a great experience while doing this. You know, everything is going to be lined up. It's going to be smooth. It's going to look great. It's going to feel great. Those are the words you put into your marketing to attract those type of people.
Yeah, and if you're high aesthetic and you want more high aesthetic people, you will ask this question in marketing. You'll say, how do you want your user experience to feel to them when they come to your website, or whatever that looks like, right? But talk about the feeling. But if I were talking to a high utilitarian, I'd say, what kind of ROI do you need on that, right? So, good points, Craig. So the social is the green one. And on the high end, people who are very driven by this, they love to eliminate hate and conflict. They feel the pain of others and they need to take it away. I don't necessarily like the word social here. I like the word altruistic, because when I think social, I think social butterfly, those high eyes we talked about in those behavioral styles. Remember, this is your passion. If you wake up thinking about, how am I getting those people out of a jam this week, then that's what we're talking about here. Is your passion and what gets you excited. Where does it work? This is going to be comfortable. We're going to sacrifice what we need to for the better of all. We're going to volunteer. We're going to help and serve your clients. Where does it won't work? We're going to be very selective about who you choose, right? The high social wants to help lots of people. Favoritism, that doesn't turn on a high social person. So the high social person is going to be very altruistic, and the low is going to be intentional about who they help and for how long. The individualistic, it's about prestige and power and notoriety, right? It's about, some people are going to say ego, and it can be. And ego doesn't necessarily need to be a bad thing. I've seen people with big egos who are very easy to be with. But it's also, the root of this is the individual. They want to be their own person. So, results-oriented and I might change this word, results-oriented that dominate other results, right? But assertive, decisive. These might be more ego-driven. If you want to have the best marketing and put your competition to shame, you're going to attract the big law firm, the one that's on TV, the ones that are bragging about themselves. Words that don't work. Oh, I think I have a mistake in my slideshow. I'll check this out. But words that don't work for individualistic is sharing, collaborative. Let's do this together. These look like they're more high D words, so forgive me. I'll fix that before I send out the slides. But on the high end, these are going to be people who want to call their own shots, don't want to be told what to do. These are people who need freedom and flexibility. They don't want to be micromanaged. And on the low end, they're going to say, I don't care about all that stuff and the ego and my face on the magazine. I just want to work together nicely with people. So the traditional value system is about searching for a system of living or belonging. So words that work, they like order and constant, they like tradition, they want to belong to something. You want to tell them that your marketing is proven, that your marketing is widely accepted, that people like you in your industry oftentimes choose this kind of marketing because this is the stuff for your group. I often see the high traditional folks really they're dogmatic in their beliefs. This is the right way to do things. I belong to this church. I belong to this group. I am in the military. I'm very political. I can't determine which side you'll be on, but if you're a high traditional, you're going to be dogmatic about it. And on the low end, you're going to be receptive to other ideas. Words that don't work, if you want to work with high traditional folks, hey, there's new methods. This is progressive. Endless possibilities, right? We're open to everything. The traditionals want to belong to something. So the motivators are your viewpoint, and people see what they're looking for, and they take away what they want to take away. So one example, I'm just going to do this really quickly, Craig, as an example, is that depending on your motivators, if I showed you this picture and I asked you, what do you see when you see this picture? Craig, if you don't mind, I'd like to pick your brain. What do you see when you see this picture?
Are you looking for something in particular? I mean, the first thing I noticed was big house, lights, bright, looks fun.
Yeah, nice. Very good. Big house. Yeah, I like that one. That sounds like a high individualistic motivator. That's a big house, right? The lights. So I hear these different kinds of things. That's a lot of lights, says the high utilitarian. Who left the lights on? Says the guy paying the bill who's concerned about it. The high aesthetics say, oh, it's beautiful. I can almost smell the ocean already, right? I can feel my feet in that sand right there. The high traditionals say, this is a place where we're going to have Thanksgiving dinner with my family, my people. High social might say something like, there's enough space for everyone here. Or I don't need that much house. I can use those resources to help someone else. The high theoretical is going to look at this very same picture and they're going to say, I wonder how tall is the seawall? Is it going to protect it from the surge? What kind of architecture is that? But there's going to be lots of questions. So we're all looking at the same picture. It's just people walk away with what they want to take from the picture because that's their viewpoint. That's what they care about. That's it, guys. I'm going to give you some slides and maybe some questions you can ask yourself. What's your favorite motivator style to work with, and why? Is it because you're similar, or is it because you like helping those people and they value you for being the yin to their yang? For your lowest motivator, is there any benefits with that motivator being someone else's top? Do you need that in your life? Are you missing some of that? I know I do. I scored very low in that aesthetic. I don't know what feels good, what's nice. But I'm also a drummer, and I play my rock and roll, and I know that without high aesthetics, I'm not going to get those jam bands like Pink Floyd or Dave Matthews or Jimi Hendrix who can you just play till it feels right, man, right? Those jazz players. So I'd also encourage you to guess the industries and network stereotypes that are out there. Our accountants, are they more theoretical or less theoretical? If that's your target market, then you might want to consider those things. If you're out networking, Kiwanis, that's a high social thing. We're going to do good in the community. B&I, utilitarian, we need results. We need some referrals this week, right? Chambers of Commerce, high traditional. This is my community. This is the St. Louis Chamber of Commerce. So we join certain groups because we care about those things, and we buy from people because they're talking about the stuff we care about. Hopefully they're using our disc style to talk to us in a way that we like, but the motivators are more important. As long as you're selling what I want to buy, I might be able to make some, consolations on your style, on how to get it from me. So in the end, just to wrap it up, it's not about who you are. It's about what you do with who you are. And all different styles can work together. And our goal, just to stick with this monkey theme, is not to make other people feel like this. So I'll take any kind of questions from you, Craig. I know we're almost at an hour. I want to honor everyone's time, so I'll take some questions. But
I think the best way to so first of all, looking at the slide there, if they want to find more about you, Art, I'm assuming that information is where they go. There's your email, art@interviewadvisors.com, or interviewadvisors.com is the website. And I think to bring this all home, what I really want you to take away is, because there's a lot there, and what we're trying to give you is a very easy to implement way to attract a higher caliber of client. And it's the way we're increasing the caliber is by attracting people who naturally resonate with your personality. It's attracting people who love what you love. That's the only difference we're making, and it is easy to implement and extremely powerful. So go back, listen to what he said about those motivators, see which one resonates with you, that motivator portion, right? And then put some of those words into your marketing. Lead with those words, and you're going to see that you start to attract those type of people. It's really intriguing. It works very, very well. Like, I'm surprised at how well it actually does work. Art, thank you so much for your time.
I'd like to
Is
add
there
one
anything
thing.
else? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. I put my contact up here for one reason. That's if you know of people who are hiring and they just hired and they don't want to screw it up, that's what I do. They're probably a good referral. I also network well with CPAs and marketing folks and other business coaches. They do things in strategy and marketing and help businesses in these ways, and I help businesses with people. But if you want this information for your marketing messaging, you should use Craig, and if you do contact me, make sure you copy Craig and get him involved. I prefer you just contact Craig, and we'll work something out for anybody who's in attendance here. But he knows how to really take all the marketing spin, take out my science stuff, and just throw it in there for you and really help out. Not to oversell you, Craig, but I've seen it work so many times.
Well, awesome. So thanks so much, guys. I think that's all we got time for, but if you have any questions or comments, put them in here at Facebook, or send me a direct message or email Art, and we'll answer those questions. Okay, guys, we'll see you later.
Thanks for having me.